Okay. All right, y'all. So, welcome to another Sips and Conversations Live. I am your host, Nancy Ngwa, and today, look, it's been a long day. I'm just sipping on some clear water. Okay. So, today we're going to be joined by Laurie Foster. Y'all, she is a phenomenal woman, okay? She is a serial entrepreneur, as she has self proclaimed herself. She's a doula. She is a business consultant, just all things fabulous. So join me in welcoming her on Two Sips.
Hey, how
I
are
was gonna pick
you?
you for you, but I definitely had the wrong time today. So
You are like absolutely beautiful at all times, and so it's like you're like, look, I just woke up and I'm fabulous. Meanwhile, I'm like, I just woke up. Hold on, let me get the crust up my eyes.
no, I've been. I mean, of course, skincare has been a 2022 thing, so I've been like
Oh
really
my
into.
gosh,
But
what?
man,
Fabulous. So we're gonna have to definitely touch on how you just stay so fresh and glowy and all that good jazz. But
okay,
let's go ahead and introduce you to everybody here in the room and anybody who can catch the replay. Okay. And
okay,
we're also now on Spotify and on iHeartRadio. So,
okay, awesome. So yeah, so I'm Laurie Foster. Like you said, serial entrepreneur, definitely queen of a lot of trades, got a lot of things. A mom, which makes me a principal of our homeschool. We have four boys, three of
wow.
which are all 5 and under. So
Wow.
imagine what that what that looks like here.
Wow.
So principal. Then we have my husband, who is a management consultant, and so I help him with our boutique agency that services Houston area and I guess to Atlanta. And so that's one of the little trades. We have a commercial spot that we're looking at opening in 2022. It has co-working side and like an event space, office really, flex place. So a lot of fun things happening. By passion, I'm a doula. I love babies. I love all things love. So I do marriages. I unite the marriage. So that is beautiful. So from marriages to carriages and all the love in between, like that's where I'm at. So this summer is going to be crazy with the blending of weddings and births that I have going on. So I'm excited.
Wow. 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 Okay. So I don't know where to start. Oh my goodness. Like I just want to like jump right into how you got into all this stuff, but we got to do a little bit of background.
Okay,
That's
okay,
just in Sip's fashion. We got to
okay.
do a little bit of background. So I hope you have some water because in case you might get a little,
I'm a talker.
you're like, I'm used to this.
I talk.
Okay.
I talk.
So how, I just want to know, like, how did you even grow up? Like, how does a person who is so versatile, like, how did you grow to become this person? Just kind of like walk me
Fair
through like your
enough.
childhood a little bit.
Fair enough. So by default, I grew up from my dad is a serial entrepreneur, hands down, up,
Mm,
sideways. He's gonna make something like out of everything. So I watched him, and then I had a regular 9 to 5 job, and I was like, ooh, this is work too. And so you
yeah.
watch him building something that he can carry on in the future, and then you watch the work that you're putting in for somebody else. You're like, I want to build this for my future.
Mm,
And so the way I've always considered a typical 9 to 5 is training, paid training. And so I always look at it like if I wanted to start this business, I'm going to go get a job in this field to to
okay.
get free training to learn the inside, to like
That
really
is,
peep the scene. And so if you
yeah,
think of it
yeah.
that way, where like this is not a job, this is paid training. Like they gonna pay me to learn something I want to do for myself anyways. Like it's genius. Like it's almost not fair. Like I'm getting so much training out of this. And so that's what I did. And so anything I wanted to start, I first took a job in that field. And I mean that's so I mean from I had a durable medical equipment company with my dad at the age of 22. That gave me flexibility, gave me like
what's durable medical equipment? What does
so
that
durable
mean?
medical equipment goes like DME in the med world, but it's like wheelchairs, hospital beds, CPAP
Okay.
machines, like the
Okay.
medical equipment that's like not just band-aids, but like the real things that you order, you need monthly. I sold oxygen. That was the hardest thing ever.
Wait,
That was
what?
probably what made oxygen. Like I was slanging
Like green?
oxygen. Yes.
She
The
sounds
whole
like,
green, the whole tank. Okay, at 22
you were
years
slinging
old,
that.
I'm and so, but with my dad, it was always, you're gonna fire. I'm gonna put you in it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be great. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fine, but it's gonna hurt. It's gonna burn a little bit. Like, and so I've
Yeah.
always, and so when I got older, I was like, well, let me not just burn. Let me just get a job first and peep the scene a little bit, because that fire kind of hurt, you know. So I was like, ooh, let me not just kill all our money, you know. So now I've learned to grab a job,
Ease
learn
into
the
it.
field,
Yeah.
and then decide if I'm gonna go all in. And that's worked really good for me. Like I swore up and down at one point I wanted a foster home. Like, and when I met my husband, his last name was Foster. I was like, this is perfect.
Okay.
It's a sign.
That's
You
it.
know,
It's, right.
I'm
Right.
supposed to have an agency, and so
Yeah.
I went to go work for one, and I realized this is too heavy. This is too much on my heart. I can't bring this home every day. I'm glad I started here versus just, I knew this was my passion. That was it. So it was like an avenue to kind of experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would have to say, just by like trying through the job, through a typical 9 to 5, to figure out if it's something I want to invest in for a full like career. And I just like a lot of stuff. So when you like it, you make
go
it
do
like
it. Yeah, so that's just a really interesting mindset. And I think it's great that you said, hey, you learned from your dad's is it transgressions? Look, I'm really bad with words. I'd be like, is that the right word? I wish I had a second phone so I could be like,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So I think it's really dope that you learned through your dad's, like, you know, maybe I don't call them mishaps, but like you're supposed to learn through any mistakes that they make or whatever, right? Like, and you're able to kind of grow in that sense. But I've honestly never thought of it from, hey, this is a business that I want to have. So let me go find this job to see if I actually like it.
Yeah.
Like that, like literally on the job training.
It's
so
and they pay you for it.
Like, and
it's
they pay
crazy.
you for it. Like, that's insane. So, like, what are your thoughts about, like, I guess traditional education in that sense?
I'm all for it. So I feel like there's it's about a balance, you know. So you can learn how to use technology. You can learn how to, you know, speak to other people who have had to do this training and to know where they're at. And so sometimes it's just knowing the part to play, you know. But I'm also hands-on training. Like a lot of the time, like our kids are homeschooled. My husband swore up and down for forever he wanted to be homeschooled, and I didn't want that. I was like, ooh, homeschool kids are weird. That's not what I want. And so I was like, no. Yeah. And then I went to go teach at a school, and I was like, ooh, we trusting these people with our kids? Like, I'm looking at the teacher's alley or the teacher's lounge, and I'm like, ooh, like, maybe homeschool ain't so bad.
Homeschooling is not bad at all. And that, I don't want to touch on that quite yet. Because I can talk about that for a really, really long time, about just my thoughts with the education system and all that good jazz. So just kind of hopping into, you know, hey, you were selling this medical equipment with your dad. At what point did you meet your husband?
So I had the store still. So I had the store, and at the time Medicare was going through competitive bidding. And so it was where you have to bid the super low prices to be their only distributor. And so I was entering it, but Florida was really killing it. Like the Florida healthcare market was killing it. And I didn't want to have to deliver oxygen national.
Florida. Where were you? Where were you living?
It's actually the Bel Air Triangle of Houston. So it's still a medical company. We actually ended up selling it. It's still a DME building. So it's pretty dope. It was a front retail shop. You'd have people come in, they'd get wheelchairs, hospital beds, like you name it. Our big things were CPAPs though. CPAPs were our big pushers. So
what's a CPAP?
It's like a breathing machine that you have to use at nighttime to help with like people who can't breathe or who snore really bad. It helps them like clear their air. Yeah.
Is that,
it's a big ticket item.
Oxygen?
Yeah, it's not oxygen. It produces its own like flow of air.
Okay.
It doesn't use the green tanks for the oxygen. It has like a condenser machine.
That's so dope that you were even in that business, and then kind of knowing what you're into now. So you sold the business, and then what did you get into
So
afterwards?
then I met my husband, and so we sold that. And I took some time off. I didn't take
Okay.
it off, like you know how I feel about work and training. So I
Right.
was preparing for the wedding. So I started a personal training business because I wanted to work out. That had to be my biggest thing while I got ready for the wedding, was working
Yeah.
out. And so I did that where I traveled with him. So I worked out in Nashville. I had clients in Nashville, worked out here. So it's pretty much
Oh,
like wherever
wow.
I wanted to work out, I found somebody to work out with me because that was money good.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I did that for a year. And then I got married and was like, all right, financial working is not needed. So it's just, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, that's when I
Hold
tried the
on, wait a
fostering.
minute. Okay, okay, husband.
But he knows I can't sit still. So it wasn't going to be just, what do you, so I was like,
No,
well,
so I think one of the biggest things that I do harp on a lot of the times is the fact that marriages, like wealth is built in marriages, right? And that's something that I think within our community, we don't really talk about that. We don't
yeah,
really talk about the fact that when you get marriage is a way to build wealth because hey, at
yes,
this point, you're able to be you're like, look, I can sit in my femininity, I can
yeah.
do whatever I really want to do, and I can remain. I don't have to be in this structure. I don't have to go out every single day and
Yeah.
just like hit the pavement, right? And just really hustle. So you get to be soft, you get
You
to
can
be
be more
gentle,
strategic in your actions. You're
you
not
can be
having to,
strategic.
it's not a
Yeah.
grind where you have to like, I need this money to do this right now. So it's like, I
Yeah. Right.
slow ride it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I do agree. Yep. Marriages for sure. So that's when I tried the agency, the foster agency. And I realized that was, it was just too heavy for me to do long term. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that one. And then I wanted to, he talked about homeschool. So I knew I had like a 2-year window before we started having kids. So I
Okay.
taught high school. So I was like, let's see how this goes. We're going to homeschool. I know I wanted time off to be with the family for holidays because that was something that working as, that job was actually really interesting. I started off as the agency as a recruiter, a foster agency as a recruiter. And
Okay.
that hired me 3 days later for her notice in. And I applied for her position. I ended up getting that position. It was the director of
Stop.
I know. It was something. He laughs at me. He's like, things like this only happen to you. And I'm just like, I don't know how it 3 days later, I ended up being, now mind you, I needed to have an LCSW license. I didn't have any of the credentials. I had to go
Wow.
to the state and tell them why this 24-year-old chick was going to be
Wow.
able to run an agency with all these kids and match these homes, and why. It was fun. It was fun, but
It
it
was
was hard.
fun.
Heavy.
You're so funny. And you're like, it was fun.
I mean, it was just like I could do this. I could wear all the. I was doing CPR training. It was. I mean, it was all over. But it
Wow.
was heavy. It was heavy work because
Yeah.
you're cases, and so that's how I was like, okay, we have to, back this up. And it was for profit. So whenever you have a foster agency,
Oh,
for
geez.
profit, traded, that's just a really,
Yeah.
you know. And
Stressful.
so
That's really stressful.
it came, and it fell in my lap where the company that I was with was going to be acquired by another company, and so my
Okay.
manager was going to be in my city, and I was like, ooh, I was used to, I was okay with this long distance, but then they moved to another city, so I was like, all right. And and so I saw a job posting for teachers, and so I was like, I'm going to my first job fair. Like I had never been to a job fair before. I was nervous, And sure enough, I called my husband. I was like, I just went to it. And he was like, well, babe, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. If you don't get this, there's going to be more job interviews. And, that's your first fair. And I'm like, I got a
Yeah.
job.
I
He was
got a
like,
job.
who hired you? He was like, who hired you? Like, what? Like, he gave me my whole, down speech, about why I was going to be okay. And I was like, no, I got hired. And he was like,
got
Lord,
hired.
Lord. And
Who are
and
you,
that was
Laurie? like legitimately.
it was
You
so
are this
random.
person that, well, I don't know if it's random or if it's just like how you are, right? Like the little bit that I know about you,
Yeah.
you're so dynamic. And I can just see you in a room just convincing people like, no, this is what my calling is. Like,
Yeah. And I
I'm
feel
supposed to
like
be educating your kids.
and I feel like that's where, because my background in school was sales and marketing leadership. And so if you're gonna
Ah.
sell something, the best thing you can sell is yourself. So it's like I've been selling myself for the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm my biggest fan. Like I can sell me.
Look, I'm about to put that in the comments and pin this one because that's a whole bar. If you're going to sell something, the best thing you can sell is yourself.
Yeah.
Like, That's a whole bar.
Yes.
Okay. While I do that, please carry on.
So yeah,
Don't
so I
mind me.
sold them on why they needed me, and it was the perfect opportunity. Like it was really 10 minutes from my house, reduced schedule. So when we did start having the children, it was close to home, and it was career and technical education. So it's marketing. I'm teaching them marketing,
Wow.
business skills. I'm teaching them resume. I'm doing finance. So it was great. It was like, this is my
Yeah.
field anyways. And so I
Yeah,
loved
that
it.
makes sense.
Absolutely loved it.
That
Stayed
makes a
there
lot
till
of
I got
sense.
pregnant with the twins. So I ended up having twins. Um,
First kids.
yes. So I have a
What
13-year-old.
twins?
I didn't birth him, but so then I had
Yes.
twins that I birthed. The twins
Wow.
were my very first pregnancy, and it was like all in. So
Who got twins though? Is it you or your husband?
it's me. My mom's a twin. My great
Oh,
grandmother is a twin. Like,
okay.
I should have known that it was
You should
coming.
know.
You know, I
Yeah.
should have saw that coming. I didn't. But everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, we knew it." And I'm like, "Y'all didn't want to tell me that I didn't know." But so we had twins, and it was,
Wow.
that was
And
a
the
fun
cutest
year.
little kids too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you. They're so sweet.
What?
They're the sweetest things ever, but they are cute.
So sweet. And those are the
And
5-year-olds.
I mean, then we went full in. So then it was like, all
Wow.
right, now this is the practice for, the homeschooling. Now this is the practice for the, this is what we worked for. So it was great.
Yeah. Wow.
It was great those few years. And so they'll start brick and mortar school this coming August. And so they were
Wow.
tested for GT. So our homeschool worked. The whole process.
What's GT?
Gifted and talented. So they'll be gifted and
Oh,
talented. So we celebrated that. Yeah, it was great. It was like, when you don't have like real milestones, like that was one. Like, how do you
that's
know
huge.
you're doing good as a parent?
That's
You know what I'm saying? Like,
huge. Yes.
how do you know that this is working? Like, I see them smart, but how do I know that that's what everybody else is gonna see?
Right.
So that was a good for me, because it was like,
Yeah.
this is working. So
Yeah. Congrats.
huge.
Congrats.
So,
That's huge.
Thank you, girl.
Yeah.
And so then, meanwhile, baby. So like, because I had the twins, everyone would call me and be like, "Girl, my cousin's having a baby. Can you tell her how you got the kids to do this? Can you tell her how you packed for the twins? Can you?" And that's when I was just like, man, people keep asking me questions. I kind of want to have more science behind my answers besides this is what worked for me, because that don't work for everybody just because it works.
Right.
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 And so I went and got some doula training and started the parent prep. And it was just like, now if they had, I'll answer my homegirls and friends and all that. And matter of fact, most people who DM me, I answer their questions. But when you start referral, and I don't even know how I ended up with this client. It's just like, okay, here's the website, check it out. Let me know if you have any other questions. But it was a good spot because it was like something I enjoyed doing, something I kind of knew instinctively was just kids, from working in foster care, from working with my own children, from having a teenager.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense, but the parent prep came that way. And then oddly enough, the ordained minister part came from me wanting to, I had a 30 before 30 list. It was 30 things I wanted to try before I turned 30. It was completely random. And that was on the list. It was just like, I want to just marry somebody. I just want to see what it feels like to be involved with another couple as intimately as you can without,
Yeah.
And I did. I married one of my best friends, and it was beautiful. I cried before the wedding. I cried after the wedding.
You cried during the wedding?
I didn't cry during the wedding. I didn't cry during it. I had it together, and it was just like the ability to be here, and then be like, girl, I'm so happy for you. And then just, it was so beautiful. And so I actually enjoyed that. And so now it's just like, your friends, especially now that, some more and more weddings are not as huge or traditional or not in a church, and then you can't have a pastor come. Who do you have come besides someone you love and someone that So that's pretty dope. So
that's just crazy. Okay, we haven't even touched on the fact that you're a whole business consultant. On top of that.
That's a whole And so these are all passions, right? So those are all things that I enjoy. Then there's the consulting side. So there's, my husband works 5:30 to 6 every day. He enjoys working.
He's a grinder.
I'm not a morning person, so like I don't work as hard. I mean, as long. I work a little harder in the daytime because those mornings aren't for me. I'll tell somebody quick, like, ooh, I ain't gonna make that one. Like, those, ooh, I don't know. I can't. But yeah, so somehow we squeeze them all in there. Like, there's enough hours in the day to get everything where you can kind of breathe. Yeah. So it's just like, At least for me, because I'm up at 5:30, but by the time that I get up, it's just like it's 8:30, sometimes a little
Yeah.
9, but
Yeah.
I'll get it in. I'll work it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, the
So
business side is great.
which of it all is your favorite, right? Like I mean, everything's a passion. And first of all, when's your birthday? Because I'm not
June.
like huge. You're in June, so what are you? Are you a
June.
Cancer? Is that Cancer?
I'm a Gemini.
Gemini. You're a Gemini. So you got multiple sides.
So it's multiple. And I tell him, I say, I'm all or nothing. Either I'm one speed, I'm up, or I'm down and out. Like this ain't.
Yeah.
But it's real obvious which one it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. So like, which is your favorite? Like, what out of everything that you're doing? Like, do you have a favorite?
I mean, they all flow together, kind of, and it's kind of weird, but like the consulting with my husband, I enjoy that. We work from home
Yeah.
together, hang
So good.
out. It's like
Yeah.
um having the kids at home is also really dope. I go have lunch with them
Yeah.
downstairs. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of like our lunch break as a family. Because we work
Yeah.
so long and so hard, it's kind of
Yeah.
nice to have that like little
Downtime.
respite.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick which one that I enjoy the most, it probably would be weddings. It probably would be weddings because it's just so much. I love a wedding.
Yeah.
A professional wedding crasher would be a thing. Like, oh my gosh, like now it's like a professional wedding crasher with an invite,
Yeah.
But I would have to say it would be the weddings. I just really enjoy. I think I have 3 weddings coming up this year, and that's probably my favorite thing. It's like the anticipation, the build up, the writing. I write all about the vows, or not all the vows. I write all the scripts for them.
Wow.
So like I take time, and it's like meaningful, and I
Yeah.
love the weddings part. So
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite if I had to. But then it's like the babies, the lingering of the relationships and like the friendships that come from it. So like that's
Yeah.
cool too. Yeah, it would be hard to pick one, but I would have to probably say marriages.
The marriages, the love of it all.
Yeah.
And I can totally see that. I have a friend she's a wedding planner and she just
Okay.
loves her favorite. She said she's never missed, she always makes sure that during the I do, she is just in a standstill.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I always have to catch the I do. And so for you to be like, I just love the love part of it all, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you don't go into the wedding business unless you just love. How would you say like, your husband has shaped your life?
Oh, awesome. Like he really is like, hey, whatever you want to do, I trust it
Yeah.
that you're going to do the fullest. And so,
Yeah.
because it is random. It is all the way like, hey, babe, I want to start like, I already know you're going to do it right. So go ahead. And it's
Right.
hey, I need to cut my hours this week and I actually do a lot of volunteering too. So that's the part where it's like, I really appreciate his understanding because it's just like, I got to do some volunteering. It's just like, we got all this work. I'm waking up really early and you're volunteering and I'm okay with it. And it's just like that part makes you feel like, cool. And so it's just overall support and allowing me to like really be me and not just like, nope, you got to get these hours. Nope, we got to get this work done. Or there's a time limit on it. Or who's going to watch the kids then? Like we have support for the children. He saw I was getting overwhelmed with those hours. We extended that so I can go to the gym. It was just like, it's love. It really is. Especially if you have someone that you like and you get to hang with them. So it's just like, it's fun. It actually is really fun.
Yeah. How do you think that's like kind of formed your love for weddings?
Ooh, I think I loved our wedding. So our wedding is like, everybody has their favorite love story. It's probably theirs, but we're big partiers in general anyways. And so a good wedding is a good party. And so that's kind of already our theme.
Gotcha. Okay.
Our wedding, it was in 2013. Oh my gosh, 2013. And so we had.
Oh, you got some years in the game.
Yeah, well, we're coming up on 10 next year, I think. 10 is it 20? Yeah, so 10 next year.
Yeah.
And so we had, our wedding was on a Saturday, and we had a party every day leading up to the wedding, and everybody was like, "Y'all crazy? Who does that?" But Wednesday, Friday, there was a party planned because my family wasn't really from here. His family wasn't really from here, so it was practically a destination.
Where y'all from?
I'm from Chicago, Detroit area. Born in Detroit, and then I was raised in like the Chicago area, and then his family is from Atlanta. And so only now are all of my parents here. Before, everybody was everywhere. Yeah. My cousins were all over Louisiana. So only now are we all here, but it was practically a destination wedding. So we try to entertain them. Like we're big into entertainment. Yeah. And because of that, it was like, I kind of get to entertain, an audience, I guess, at the wedding and then have the celebrations and drinks and dancing. It was like, that's why you kind of like, he loves coming on the weddings with me. Like wherever the wedding is, he's coming, because usually it's our friends. I don't really advertise it, so it's gonna be somebody we know somehow. And so
Gotcha. That was another question I kind of had, was like, how do you even like find clients and things of that sort? So that makes sense.
it's word of mouth, and like it's
That's so
crazy
dope.
that way. I have a whole like domain, officially yours, and it's really cute because it's like a play on the word official, and then like officiant, and then it's just like, but officially yours is mostly word of mouth, word of mouth. And so I meet people. So one of the so we were opening up a speakeasy, and our bar manager was getting married, and he was like, oh my gosh, I just love, we're big on energy. Energy is like the number one go, is like, how do you
Wait,
feel?
you have a bar? You say you have a speakeasy?
So one of the sides of the co-working office space was going to be a speakeasy. And so it has like
Okay.
it's really pretty. It's really like a sexy vibe. And so we had a bar manager that was starting. He actually came really like sharp guy.
Yeah.
And I met him and his wife, or him and his girlfriend at the time, and he was like, "Man, this your energy." I'm like, "We're big on energy." He was like, "We
Yeah.
just vibed and bounced." And then he was like, "Will you marry me?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I will marry you." And it was so funny because my dad teased me because they asked me if I'd be their officiant with alcohol. Like they brought over a cute little like champagne bottle, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Who brings their minister a bottle of alcohol?" I was like, "People that know their minister." Okay. I was like, he made wine, not water. Okay. So and so that was that was fun. So it's just, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love it. I freaking love it. Okay, so speaking of kind of rolling into parent prep, because you know what, I see what you're saying now. Everything kind of rolls into each other because hey, you're marrying people, and then you get to guide them through parenthood once they
Yes.
do decide to be parents. And so
Yep.
you started parent prep. I'm
Yep.
saying this right. Oh my goodness,
Yep.
sorry, it's been a long
No,
day.
you're
I got it
right.
right, right? I'm good. Oh
Yep.
goodness,
The
I'm
parent
like, wait a minute, doesn't have a brain freeze.
no, it's the parent prep. That's it.
Parent prep. Okay, so you start parent prep, and it's, what's your mission behind parent prep?
So right now it's to just help moms. So that fourth trimester,
Okay.
like right when baby comes, it could be overwhelming. I know
Yeah.
I wanted to be all the way hands on with the twins when they were born. I was like, I don't want help. And everybody's like, Laura, you're gonna need help. And I was like, I want to be there when the baby cries. I want to be the first person. And then I got there and I was like, whoa, y'all, I thought y'all meant it was gonna be like a little bit hard. This is hard. And so I kind of want to just have more education about what it is in that fourth trimester. As much as we
Mm,
plan the actual birth, there's always talk about a birthing plan and a birthing partner, and a
yeah.
lot more focus and emphasis on the birth. And I feel
Yeah.
like a community, even a Black culture, we need to
Yeah.
focus also on the postpartum, the after the birth. And so that was my
Why do
initial,
you think that that's so important?
because I just feel sometimes we try to do it all. Me, I tried to do it all. I wanted to be,
Hmm.
this strong Black woman who my mom didn't need help. No, I don't need a nanny. I don't need assistance. That's weak.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
I feel. And as a culture, we do feel like a helping hand is not as strong. And so I
Right.
didn't want help. I wanted to do it myself. I wasn't going to
Yeah.
struggle. I wanted to show everybody I wasn't going to struggle. And then it
Yeah.
was hard. And then I was a little bit struggling, and I was a little bit sad. And I was just like, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
had to go back and take all that. What were you talking about, nanny, again? Like, because Benjamin,
Yeah.
like, off the top, we need help. Like, I'm telling you right now, we need help. And I was like, no, I got it. It's two of us, two of them. How hard could it be?
You
It was
said
hard.
two of us, two of them. Never done it before. But you're like, look,
Never
we're
done it before.
balanced.
And so I just want to that was the mission. And so actually I'm working on a nonprofit angle where I want to help mothers who are underage by themselves, who don't have that support system, mothers
Yeah.
who, teenage moms who have a hard time communicating. Either their parents aren't supporting them, their partner is not supporting them.
Mm.
They've already made the commitment to have the baby, but don't want to have alone. So we're going to work in the future about bringing open
I
some
love that. I love
free
that. I
work.
love that. I love
That's
that.
coming soon. It's Ambassadors of Change. So
I freaking love that. Like just so many things. A, the fact that you're like, hey, Black woman, it's okay to
yeah,
not be strong.
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because we do carry, if you look at other societies, right, other cultures,
Yeah.
they're allowed to be softer. They're allowed to
Yeah.
have the help, right? But us as Black women, all over, it ain't just American Black women. Like, I'm West African. You birth the baby, and you've got to. Well, Nigerians are actually really good about um, culturally, like the grandmother or the people will help bathe the child once you have
Okay.
the baby. So,
Okay.
which is really really dope. But
Yeah. For sure.
but just in general, we're just really supposed to. Like, I went back to work 4 weeks after having my child.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh
and I
yeah.
had a whole C-section.
Yeah.
Okay, because I had bills to pay, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, better go to work. We're gonna
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're like, hey, let's help women, but the teenage mom aspect, because as much as we're going to say you should not be having children young, you should be having protected sex. You should.
Yeah.
Shit freaking happens, man,
Yeah.
and a lot of kids are missing. Even you could have the best of parents in your life, but stuff is still gonna happen, right? So
Yep.
to say, hey, dear teenage mother, it's okay, I see you.
Yep.
You don't
To
have to
help
go
them
through this.
find like the resources, because there's a lot of resources
Yes.
out there. It's just we're not access to them. We're not privileged to know them. We're not in the community that's promoting them. And so to have this, like, hey, if you've already committed to having this child, we're gonna make
Yeah.
sure the smoothest way possible. If
Yeah.
you're already committed, then we're gonna make sure you're not gonna fail. You're gonna still be able to get your education. You're gonna still
Yes.
have your dreams come true, because
Yep.
this is not gonna stop you. It's gonna be your
Yep.
motivation. And so that's gonna be pretty exciting. You hit.
That's super. Okay, so now as far as like resources, what kind of resources are available for someone that has had, a child and still wants to pursue their dreams?
Yep. And so depending on what school they want to go to, some scholarships offer childcare reimbursement. Some insurances
Oh
will
wow.
offer childcare assistance. And so
Wow.
there's certain schools that will accept grants that will help
Yeah.
you. So it's just writing, depending on what field you are in, or interested in. There's different scholarships and grants out there, and so helping them find those scholarships, helping them find them, the community centers. Our community, I live not too far. I live in Midtown. It's not far from Emancipation Park, and the community center has childcare that's like through the whole summer for $10 a week. And if you can't afford
Wait,
it,
what?
they waive it. Yes, I went up there to vote the other day, and it was just the voting booth, and I was like, let me go look around because I haven't been here before. And there was kids in there. I was like, oh, tell me more, because I got little brown boys too. And she was
Yeah.
like, yeah, the summers, they can come play, and we'll watch them, feed them, and everything for $10 a week. And if you can't,
What?
and I was like, that's not that. How do you know that unless you know somebody that knows somebody that told them their kids
Right.
there? But there's so many moms who are like just now in this predicament, like, how am I gonna figure out what to do with my child, or and so it's just finding it out. And so finding what's going on in your community. If this is your circle, this is your bubble, you need to know everything in the 20-mile radius that can help you succeed.
Yeah.
And so that's where we focus in on, hey, this is your area. I have a mom that's in Katy that helps, or I'm sorry, a doula in Katy that helps me. She speaks Spanish. And so she's like, hey, there's also
Wow.
going to be another side of this non-Spanish speaking side where it's like, hey,
Wow.
my biggest problem is communication. Cause like, how do I
Yeah.
know? And so it's yeah. There's resources out there, but you have to know, and you have to have the means to search. Like if you don't have
Yeah.
internet, if you don't have a steady computer, or
Yeah.
if you're, it's just, we just kind of have those intelligence to kind of find and navigate and can decipher through the rules on who qualifies,
Yeah. Well, and even if so, like I found myself a single mom. I hate using that term.
Yeah.
It's just like that annoying. But
Yeah.
and not really having the financial resources, right? And my late 20s. And my sons and I were together for a few years, 2.5 years to be. Tristan was 2.5 when we split up. And like childcare is $400 a week.
Yes.
Well, maybe not $400 a week. It was, how much was I spending? 200 or so. It was like 150, 170 a week.
Yeah.
Until he was fully out of like diapers and fully potty trained. And then hey, then you get down to 150.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like when I was making like $30,000 a year. Like I'm poor and I gotta pay rent and we gotta eat and all these other things, right? So I was thin as hell. I actually did go through like a whole cleansing, like mentally, spiritually, and all that. So that was part of me being really small. But But I had to pay for childcare. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
the heck? I
Yeah.
didn't qualify for government assistance because I made more than like $16,000 or some
Yeah.
stupid
And that's the
number
hard
that they put
part.
on you.
Like that threshold, there's so many people that are in that gap, you know, that
Yeah.
not enough to make enough to do what they're trying to do, but don't qualify for assistance because they make more than what someone that doesn't do anything makes. And it's just like,
Right.
we're trying to help them. Like,
Right. Right. And like I didn't know like what to search for. So I think the fact that you're like, able to, that's what your purpose is and what your passion is, I think that's super dope. Now I always thought that a doula was someone that just helped you through childbirth.
yeah.
So you're really
Uh,
escalating it to another level.
yes. And so there's different levels. So there's a birth doula.
Okay.
And if I had to be 100% honest, I'm not a fan of like the actual like blood and guts of
I mean, why
the
not?
birth process. Like, I don't want to touch the placenta. Like, there's doulas that are really great, and they do the placenta capsulation where they put the placenta in the little capsule so you can eat your placenta. That's not my line. That's not me. I have some great referrals.
Wait.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those are doulas that do that. I always thought that
That.
you send it off to somebody and they do that.
A doulas do that. That is a level of, there's a certificate for that, and that's not where I come in. I come in usually around week 30. I like week 30 when that's that nesting phase, and you're like, oh, I need to get ready for the baby. I help you organize home. I help you prepare the other kids. I help you prepare your husband. I help you prepare your mom. Her baby, don't back off, because sometimes that is the flow. It's like, my mom is just so overbearing, and I'm like, oh, I got this. I don't want you to stress about things. And so I come in, I'm like, hey, and I do it so politely so that nobody feels like their feelings are hurt,
Yeah.
You smile and you're like, oh, but let her try. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
And so that come in about week 30, sometimes week 28, but definitely more close to the third trimester. And then I prepare the home. And then my biggest concern is making sure mom is comfortable. So the baby is pretty much going to be kept. The baby got a plan. The birth plan's been there, but it's making sure the mom's going to eat, making sure the showers are scheduled, making sure the food for the family is done. The laundry has a plan. So I'm not doing the laundry. I'm not cooking. I'm not cleaning the house, but I'm making sure there's a plan in place that it will get done.
Gotcha.
Professional planner when it comes to like things. And so even babies, like, and then the postpartum period, making sure the mom is in her best state of mind so she can get her sleep, and making sure that her naps are planned. And because they say sleep with the baby sleeps, but most of the time the baby, you can't, like, you're driving, the baby sleep, how you gonna sleep? Like, I can't sleep like the baby sleep while you in the shower. I'm supposed to just stop and get out, so it's just like, so I plan for those things,
Yeah.
because
that's crazy, stupid dope. So like you're more focused on the mental, it's really like mental health care, right?
I guess so. I mean, I never, until like until last year, I didn't really think about it holistically. It's like, wow, this is more, it is. It's planning, it's getting the mind right. It's I'm actually dropping a workbook. It's gonna be this summer. It's a postpartum workbook, so it helps moms think about this stuff in advance. And so if you don't have the means to afford a doula, you can get the workbook that just helps you plan it out yourself, because it's not like it's science. It just needs some guidance. Some people do need just guidance, and so it helps. And there's a section in the workbook that was like, I interviewed maybe like 30 different moms, and it was like, what do you wish somebody would have told you about the postpartum period that they didn't? And those answers are so bananas. Like, I love them. And I love getting to the moms, because now when they get to that stage, they can't say, no one told me my hair was going to fall out, or no one told me. Girl, I told you, girl. So it is kind of nice to be like, okay, this is the start, and so then that they know kind of how to prepare, because they've heard from another mom that thought that wouldn't happen. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's mad stupid dope, because there's no handbook. Or maybe there isn't, like I know I didn't think to research that. Right. Yeah. So like, okay, I know marketing and sales is like your background. So how are you planning on getting the word out there? Outside of social media, let's get a little bit of free funds. Like how we do this thing.
Outside of social,
I'm asking for a friend, not for myself or anything.
Yeah. So another aspect of this parent prep is also preparing doulas, because I've had a couple of doulas approach me, and that's like, hey, I really like your content. I like your page. I like your info. I like your whole, vibe. How do I do this? And so I started doula training, doula training.
Wow,
And one of
dope.
the things I tell them is go to OB offices, OBGYNs, and introduce yourself, because a lot of
Yeah.
times there's a mom that will come in by herself, and she's there not because she's a single mom, not because, you know, she just doesn't have any, her husband's at work, her mom's out of town, her best friend has to go to work, and she's there and she feels a certain way,
Alone.
you know.
Yeah.
And so she's not wanting to go to her appointment. She's not as excited. She's down in the dumps. And you want to prevent that, because that energy is projected into those kids. And that's how generation we're about to bring. And so you go to this, you introduce yourself, and you say, hey, if you see someone that needs assistance, let me know. Let me reach out to them. Let me be that friend, that companion. Yeah. And so I have a package where I go to the appointments with you. Like, I sit in there and I'll write your little notes down, and I ask the doctor questions, so that, because you're going to get excited when you see your ultrasound. You're going to be like, oh my God, it's a girl. And then you forget everything else they said. And so I'm like, hey, said you could get this test done, you know. And so those kind of fun trips that I take, you know, a field trip, you know, we have a field trip. But yeah, I would say I would recommend to a new doula who doesn't have, you know, a good social media following, to hit up OBGYN offices, hit up the birthing centers. There's a lot of birthing centers as mothers experience the water births. You know, so a doula in the state of Texas is not required to carry a certificate, but you can get the training, understand what's needed, and then make sure it's a reputable company. So there's CAPPA, CAPPA, and there's DONA, DONA, which are both really good. And then there's International Childbirth Institution or Academy. And they have one of the only ones that offer CEUs for nurses. And so I felt like that was pretty accredited to say, hey, if this one can,
dope. Yeah.
You know, they could do this, especially if it's not even needed. So that's why I chose the one that I chose. But you get your certificate, and then you have a little bit of background to know what you're talking about. Because of course a lot of it's your emotion and your feeling and how the moment feels, but it's to help you feel confident in your answers. And so I always the training, go meet the offices, go try the water births, and there's different stages of doulas. There's birth doula, there's a postpartum doula, which is my specialty, and then there's death doula. And so when you have a mom that has a lot of, you know, miscarriages or stillbirth, there's somebody that helps them cope through that. And so there's different stages of the whole birthing process. And so there's the three most popular, I guess, or the most known, are the birth, the postpartum.
Why do you think that? Because to be very honest with you, I had never heard of doulas prior to, it was a few, you know, like it was a few years ago, and I was on Facebook, and somebody I went to college with, she had said she's a doula, and I'm like, doula, like what is this? Right?
Yes.
And I'm like, what do you do? Like, I don't get it. You're there, you catch the baby. Like, I was totally uninformed of what a doula was. Like, you know, why do you think it's not something that is common, right? Like right now. And where do you see the future in? Is it called dualism? I don't know. Is that a proper word?
I think it's not as common because, well, we're working to get insurance coverage for doulas. It's expensive. For a long time, it was like, ooh, you can afford a doula? I'll have my best friend come, you know, and it was just like, so that was a big part, was the financial aspect of it. And so mental health and mother's well-being is more looked at a little bit closer with, you know, every 2020. It's looking, I think California passed some legislation on approving doula expenses. I know when Obama passed because you get a free breast pump, there's a little, whenever you are pregnant, you get a free breast pump paid for by your insurance company automatically, no matter what insurance company, because that was that was a requirement from Obama's healthcare plan. And it's just not known, you know, like people don't know of it because they can't afford it, or it's not in their community, or they haven't met anyone that has it because they're around other people who can't afford it or who haven't had to have a doula. But what I see the future of it going is definitely as mothers are experimenting more with water births and non-traditional births and testing the hospitals. I actually prefer hospital births with my parents unless they are accompanied by a midwife. And so I always, like, I'm not a midwife. I'm not going to deliver your baby, but I will be there for you while she does. And that's just my whole thing. But as more and more women hear about other options and other alternatives and the assistance that comes with it, that by default, they're going to have more doula experience or more doula knowledge. And I went to talk at a high school one day. It was maybe 3 months ago. And the lady asked, how many of you guys have heard of a doula? And like half the kids raised their hands. And I was like,
what?
Like, I don't know that. Because I know I didn't know a doula in high school. Like I probably
never heard of it.
30 years old. And sure enough, there was a TV show that had it out. And so there was some famous person on the TV show was a doula, and that's how they all. And I feel like when they start them off younger, when it becomes more and more culturally normal to have these, these conversations in life, when TV shows stop showing breastfeeding as just popping it on and then being done, the mama's actually hooked up to the pumps,
Yes.
And that's how we're gonna start changing the culture, is making it more realistic and not just how. So.
Yeah. No, I love that you say that. You kind of start with the youth. That's one of my big things is starting. You start young and you train mentally. Because people like me, I mean, I'm 37 and I think, yes. I'm like, how old am I? I mean, like, am I 37? I want to say 36. So I'm like, wait, am I 37? I struggle. I think I'm 37.
I can't lie. I'm right with you. This like, I know this year because it's a big one, but in between years, I'm all switching.
It's like, I don't even know. So, but yeah, and I never, had even heard about it. Like pop culture definitely does set society, but starting at a young age, these kids are so smart because we have TV. So TV is definitely a blessing and a curse all at the same time. Now, with your kids going off to school, the twins are going to school, and you're going to still you have a 3-year-old, yeah?
He's 2, but I got a little baby.
He's 2, a baby. So you have a couple more years kind of left with that. How have your children, I mean, like, you're clearly an entrepreneur and you guys are planning on continuing to build. I love what your husband's doing with with Nursify. Like you gotta plug the Nursify a little bit in there. But just, of awarding Black nurses, Black and brown nurses, well, anybody, right? But just making sure that we're getting paid. I'm not a nurse. When I say we, I just mean the culture. That we're getting what our worth is, right? So you guys are definitely all about feeding the culture mentally, spiritually, financially, and all that good jazz. So, as your kids get older and go to, as you said, brick and mortar school, how do you see your life transitioning? Where do you see yourself, you as a mom, as a wife, as a businesswoman?
I feel like that's kind of where a lot of my push came. And it was, once the kids get older, I didn't want to have to find myself. I didn't want to have them go off and me be like, oh, now do I do? I kind of to have something that I was already invested in that I can continue to do once they were bigger. And so that I was, okay, parent prep, okay, officiate, because it was something I enjoyed doing that I could do once they were gone, once they were off. And so watching them, it's so cute because next month is World Lemonade Day or World National Lemonade Stand Day or something. It's Lemonade Day. And so they're like, when I tell you we're going to have this lemonade stand of the century, I'm talking about websites, cards. They're going to have a whole Instagram page. Like, I'm so excited about it. But they're excited too. Like like this is a day of work. And they're like, I want to be able to like do this. And it was so cute. My baby's on Wednesday is steak night. And so last night, one of them was like, I'm going to buy steak for the whole family. And he gave me his little $6, like one for everybody. And it was just so cute. Like, he understood, like, this cost money. I got it. And it's like we're already seeing in them, like, wanting to work to be able to provide. And, like, they're seeing what a provider is that cares and is passionate and wants other people to be happy. And that money does help fund that. It's just it's not free to love. But it's like, it's free to care, but it's not, so it's just like, I enjoy watching them watch us, and I'm better because I see them watching me. So now I'm like, ooh, make sure when it's right, because they're watching and they're repeating, and when they go out, they're not going to embarrass me because they're going to do it right. And so this is going to be good.
I love that. They're definitely learning from amazing role models. What do you think your most important decision that you've ever made as a parent to date is?
The most important decision. Well, I really do. That's a hard one at first, but I would probably say, I don't know. There's been a bunch of those, but if I had to think of one offhand, it would probably be the homeschooling. Just because my dad, he's a big influence on me, but he talked a lot about how horrible homeschool was and how kids needed social aspects and how kids needed this and this. And to hear him eat those words now, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
Like,
it's just,
boom. Hey, daddy, Laurie's daddy, if you're watching this.
no, but like really to like, because I listened to him on all aspects, but I also, I had to really make this decision. I did my research and then I watched kids and I see how much of an influence I was still able to be on their early, 1 through 6 years. And so those first years are like the most critical, like molding years that you can get for them. Have like me see my personality in them and I'm like, yes, this is my kid. Like, I'm off, to do. And it was just, that was probably what, and I think the reason why I said that was probably my favorite decision is because I initially wasn't for it. And that was something that challenged me a little bit. They need to be in school mixing, they need to be cool kids. Like they need to and I realize like, no, let me look at really like what's the best. Like if I was all the way heart aside, did the research and I was like, this actually is a good idea. Like this, so that was probably one of the best ones I made. I mean, I got my husband, but that was, so after
yeah. So I agree with both of them. The education of how you're going to educate your children, be intentional with that. And then that last part was, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of waiting on you to say that. So I'm glad that you kind of picked up some ESP from me. Because it's so important to pick a spouse that you're aligned with, that can really help you elevate yourself mentally, right? Because if you didn't have that sense of protection, you wouldn't feel safe enough to just explore and be the best mom and be the best businesswoman and be the best friend and just be this dynamic person that we are so blessed with. Oh my goodness. Like I just like when Rama first told me, because we share obviously a mutual friend. And when Rama first told me about you, she was like, Laurie knows everything. She's amazing. I love her. She's great.
Rama's so sweet.
Which she is. Okay. Yes. And so I was like, oh, you're so sweet, girl. But then I met you and I'm like, no, how the heck do you just know everything? Like, how are you so like phenomenal? So in the next, few years, you're a planner, but you seem also to have a slight free spirit self way about yourself. Yeah. What do you see, like, where do you want to be at with your businesses? We've already talked about parenting, so business wise, with parent prep, it sounds like it's a huge one for you. Where do you want to be?
And so I really think pushing out, because I'm really big on volunteerism, so it's like pushing now the side of the helping teen moms. That's where I want to see that. I want to see that flourish and be able to empower other doulas to help me support that mission. And so that's where I want to see the parent prep grow. And then that also gives me something to do when the kids are out of the house, when they're done, when our consulting is at a a stable situation right now. We're swamped. And it was a lot of good work. I'm not going to complain about it at all, but I'm definitely at capacity. And so I do know, sometimes you can say, this is capacity and I'm done. Like, this is okay.
You're like, for real.
I'll tell Benjamin, I'll tell my husband, like, oh, you can fit one more assignment in. Like, you see the invoice, you're like, oh, you can do it. But I can't. Like, him or something, because I'm like, woo, I don't know how we gonna make this work, but you got it. I believe in you. I don't believe in me like that. And so
I believe in you.
I've always thought about like politics. Like, I'm not really a politician, but I thought of kind of congresswoman, so that's always an option. I guess I am more free spirited than I am on, like, out loud or on paper, but well, the whole thing was I wanted to be a first lady, and I was like, but the church route,
my God, first lady church. Oh, I thought you meant like first lady in life. I'm like, you are so like boss man wife vibes, who like enough, right, to be able to support your spouse, like, legit. And then on top of that, look, the pin comment, if you're gonna sell anything, sell yourself, like, period. So
that's how I feel. Like, I don't want to really be the actual mayor, but I'm cool with him running and me being first lady. So I'm gonna push him. That is coming. I'm gonna really push him. I know was in our pipeline at first for 2024. I think we're gonna be a little
Wow.
now, but I'm pushing them. I'm gonna push them.
Oh my God. And the
I
thing
see
is, like,
yeah.
y'all are gonna do it. Y'all are gonna do
I'm
it.
gonna push it. I'm gonna push it. So
I can't wait to see like where you grow and where you go to. So before we kind of head out here,
Mhm.
I try to only keep this to an hour because I know you got a whole family. Okay, you got a whole husband, you got a whole family. So I can talk to you all day, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about, which we're likely gonna bring you back onto Sips Elevated at some point because you
Okay.
got to join that conversation,
Okay.
and get more in detail about some of these things. Education, wink, wink, is gonna definitely be one of them. But what is your, my favorite comment that you said is, and I'm legit, I need to like write this down. Like if you're gonna sell something, the best thing you can sell is yourself. Like that
Yep.
is, I'm gonna take that with me. What
Yep.
is your quote or whatever you live by, mantra? Like what do you live by on a day-to-day basis?
Um, I feel like the biggest theme right now is love hard. Like
Ooh, yeah,
whatever it is, if it's done out of love
yeah,
and you love hard with it,
yeah,
it's gonna be all right. Because
yeah.
if it doesn't work out, you loved, you had a good moment. Like that was a good moment.
Mm,
You made somebody else, like the way the butterfly effect works, like you changed the world with that love. And so I really like right now our whole theme is like love hard. Like, well, it was love. It was a lot of love and it was fun. And
yeah,
you see that in the children, you see that in your work, you see that in your circle. So
yeah.
love hard. If you're gonna do it,
Love
girl,
hard.
love hard with it. Like I feel
Do
like
it
that is
big.
how I
Yeah.
have to say is if you love it, whether it's relationship or it's your career or whatever you're doing, but you put your love and your heart, your sweat into it,
Yeah.
it's gonna be all right. It's nothing can't come wrong from that. If anything, you have something to take away. So
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's probably what I'm going to. I don't know. I'm likely going to title it Love Hard. I mean, and then I'm gonna throw in my
yeah,
little thing right here in there too. Not my thing, your thing, but Love Hard because yeah, don't have any regrets. So you can't close that out any
yeah.
better than this. And I wanted to ask you about your skincare too, but I'm gonna slide in your DMs, okay? Because I
No,
need to.
I've had the wrong time. It's actually 2022. I finally got it together. Like I finally, but I got something for you. I got something because it took a long time to get here. But
Like, you look
I'm still
fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you so
okay.
much. I'm so excited. Definitely saving this.
Fun. I'll see you again though, for sure.
Yes, yes. What did she say? Yes, love wins every time. Yes, mama, love it every time. I know she's joining us from Vegas,
Oh, I was
but
like, she on her phone.
she's like, oh my God, Lord. But yeah, so definitely gonna talk to you soon. And thank you so much for joining us. And
She
yeah, we're gonna save this live and reshare.